Let's get right into it. Number 11. The gut's second job. You've probably heard that your gut is your second brain, which sounds like a cute marketing slogan for expensive yogurt until you realize it's actually running a secret shadow government. Scientists used to think the gut-brain axis was a one-way street, where the brain shouted orders and the stomach just grumbled in protest. New research shows that your gut bacteria are actually hacking your vagus nerve to send fake signals to your head. They can literally trigger cravings for specific junk foods because they want the sugar, not you. You aren't actually hungry for that questionable 2 in the morning burrito. You're just being piloted like a giant, fleshy mecha suit by a colony of microscopic yeast that has zero regard for your beach body or your dignity. Number 10. The heart's memory. If you've ever felt a gut feeling in your chest, it turns out your heart might actually be thinking for itself. We used to believe the heart was just a glorified muscular pump, a biological bellows keeping the pipes pressurized. But researchers have discovered that the heart contains an intricate network of roughly 40,000 neurons, essentially a little brain. This intrinsic cardiac nervous system can operate independently of the brain. In your skull, learning, feeling, and even making short-term decisions about your cardiovascular health. Your heart isn't just reacting to your emotions, it's participating in them. So when you say your heart isn't in it, you might be making a scientifically accurate statement about your chest-brain's current mood. Number 9. The bone hormone. Most of us think of our skeleton as a dusty set of structural beams, basically just there to keep us from collapsing into a puddle of organs on the floor. But scientists recently realized your bones are actually a massive endocrine gland. They produce a hormone called osteocalcin, which acts like a biological go signal for the rest of your body. It tells your brain to remember things, your muscles to use energy, and even regulates your fight or flight response. When you get scared, it's not just adrenaline. Your bones are literally dumping chemicals into your blood to tell you to run. You aren't just a ghost piloting a meat suit. You're a ghost piloting a very chatty, very chemical skeleton. Number 8. Muscle memory is literal. We've always used the term muscle memory to describe why you can still ride a bike after 10 years of sitting on the couch, but we thought the memory part was stored safely in your head. Science just pulled a fast one on us. Your actual muscle cells have a physical memory of being fit. When you work out, your muscle fibers gain new nuclei. Even if you stop exercising, and your muscles shrink back down to pool noodle status, those extra nuclei don't disappear, they just go into sleep mode. The moment you start lifting again, they wake up and fast-track your gains. Your biceps are basically keeping receipts of every gym session you've ever had, just in case you decide to stop being a professional couch potato. Number 7. Your skin sees light. We generally assume that eyes have a monopoly on vision, but it turns out your skin is a bit of a voyeur. Researchers found that human skin contains opsins, the same light-sensitive proteins found in your retinas. While your skin isn't seeing pictures of the world, it is detecting UV radiation and blue light independently of your eyes. Your skin can literally see when it's being exposed to the sun and starts the tanning process as a defensive reaction before your brain even realizes you forgot the sunscreen. You are essentially a giant, walking eyeball that just happens to be covered in hair and bad tattoos. Number 6. The ghost of your cravings. We used to think that when you lose weight, the fat burns up like fuel in a furnace. But physics says matter can't just vanish, and neither does your fat. Scientists have pointed out that when you lose weight, you are actually exhaling it. Your fat breaks down into water and carbon dioxide. The water leaves through your sweat and pee, but the vast majority of that weight leaves through your lungs. You are literally breathing your former self out into the atmosphere. Every time you exhale at the gym, you're tossing a tiny piece of your unwanted cargo into the air for someone else to walk through. You aren't just getting fit, you're evaporating. Number 5. The nostril shift. You probably think you're breathing through both nostrils right now, but your nose is actually a liar. Every few hours, your autonomic nervous system engages in something called the nasal cycle. It swells the tissue in one nostril to partially block it, forcing the other one to do all the heavy lifting. Then it switches sides like a relay race. This happens so your smell receptors can take turns resting and staying moist, and because some smells are actually easier to detect in slow-moving air versus fast-moving air. Your nose is basically a sophisticated air filtration system that operates on a strict union-mandated break schedule. Number 4. Water has a twist. You'd think we'd have H2O figured out by now, considering we're mostly made of the stuff. But water just threw a curveball. Researchers recently discovered that at certain temperatures, liquid water actually exists in two distinct phases, at the same time, one high density and one low density. They don't mix, like oil and vinegar, but they are both just water. This means water is essentially two different liquids pretending to be one. It's the ultimate "it's complicated" relationship. This tiny molecular quirk is likely the reason water behaves so weirdly compared to every other liquid on Earth. Your refreshing glass of ice water is actually a chaotic structural civil war happening at a molecular level. Number 3. Trees are socialists. Forests aren't just a collection of individual trees competing for sunlight. They are a massive, underground communist collective. Scientists recently mapped the Wood Wide Web, a complex fungal network that connects the roots of different tree species. Through this system, trees actually trade resources. If one tree is stuck in the shade and starving, its neighbors will literally pump excess sugar and nutrients through the fungus to keep it alive. They even send chemical warnings about pests to their buddies miles away. The forest is less like a silent park and more like a high-speed fiber optic network where everyone is sharing the Wi-Fi. Basically, the plants in your backyard are better at community organizing than your neighborhood's HOA. Number 2. The Earth's hum. If you've ever sat in total silence and felt a weird, low-frequency vibration that seemed to vibrate your very soul, you aren't going crazy, the planet is just humming at you. Scientists have finally confirmed that the Earth emits a constant, low-frequency, microseismic hum caused by the literal pounding of ocean waves against the seafloor. It's a sound that is too low for your ears to hear, but your body can absolutely feel it. This hum is constant, all the time, and it changes based on the weather. You spend your entire life vibrating in harmony with the Pacific Ocean's latest temper tantrum. It's less of a oneness with nature and more of a the floor is a giant wet subwoofer situation. Number 1. The Lithium Leak. Imagine waking up and realizing your brain is basically a high-maintenance smartphone that requires a very specific mineral just to keep from deleting your childhood memories. For decades, we thought lithium was just something doctors gave people to stabilize their moods, or what goes into the battery that you definitely shouldn't lick. But scientists just discovered that lithium occurs naturally in your brain. Not only is it there, but it's actually acting like a tiny, chemical bodyguard for your neurons. If your brain starts running low on this brain juice, it's one of the earliest signs of Alzheimer's. Essentially, your cognitive health isn't just about crosswords and kale, it's about making sure your internal battery isn't leaking. If you feel a bit foggy today, maybe you're just a few micrograms short of a full charge. New science discoveries that broke everything we thought we knew. Number 14. The water memory glitch. Imagine standing at your kitchen sink and realizing the water you're about to drink has a mood. For the longest time, we assumed water was just a simple H2O molecule, boring, predictable, and great for hydration. However, new studies into the molecular structure of water suggest it can actually retain memory of the substances it once touched through complex hydrogen bonding networks. It's like the liquid version of a digital hard drive. This means the glass of water on your nightstand might still be vibing from a chemical encounter it had 3 cities ago. Essentially, the fundamental building block of life is way more woo-woo than your high school chemistry teacher ever dared to admit. Number 13. The Lung-Butt Loophole. Some people think the peak of medical science is a fancy pill or a laser, but in 2025, we officially proved that mammals can breathe through their butts. It's called enteral ventilation. Researchers found that if you're struggling for oxygen, a specific liquid called perfluorodecalan delivered, well, backwards, can actually keep you alive. It turns out your intestines are basically a backup pair of lungs that nobody bothered to read the manual for. So, the next time you're gasping for air, just remember, your body has a plan B that is as medically effective as it is socially devastating. Number 12. The heart's secret brain. Most people think of the heart as a glorified, fleshy sump pump that just pushes blood around whenever you see a scary movie or run for the bus. But researchers have identified about 40,000 neurons living right there in your chest, known as the little brain in the heart. These neurons can sense, feel, and remember things independently of the gray matter in your skull. It turns out the heart doesn't just take orders from the brain, it argues back. When you have a gut feeling or a heartfelt reaction, it's not just poetry, it's your secondary processor sending a memo to the main office. Your chest is basically running its own rogue AI program without your permission. Number 11. The Shadow Biosphere. Scientists have spent decades looking for aliens in deep space, but we just realized there might be aliens living in our own dirt. There's a theory of a shadow biosphere where microorganisms exist that have a completely different biochemical makeup than any other life on Earth, using arsenic instead of phosphorus, for example. We've been so busy looking for little green men on Mars that we completely ignored the fact that Earth might be hosting an entirely different version of life that doesn't even play by our rules. Number 10. The bone radio. You probably think your skeleton is just a silent scaffolding system designed to carry your meat around, but it's actually a broadcasting station. Scientists discovered that your bones produce a hormone called osteocalcin, which acts as a chemical messenger to tell your brain to stop being stressed or to help you remember where you left your keys. If your bones aren't talking, your brain starts to glitch. Essentially, your skeleton isn't just a cage for your organs. It's a chatty roommate that's secretly managing your mental health while you're busy worrying about what you posted on Instagram. Number 9. The Sleep-Cleaning Carwash. Every night when you drift off, your brain doesn't just turn off, it literally opens the floodgates. The glymphatic system is a recently discovered waste clearance pathway that pumps cerebrospinal fluid through your brain tissue to wash away molecular trash like beta amyloid. It's a literal power wash for your thoughts. Without this nightly rinse, your brain becomes a hoarding situation for toxic proteins. You aren't just resting when you sleep, you're deep cleaning the motherboard so it doesn't overheat and melt the next morning. Number 8. The hybrid human. For a long time, we thought Homo sapiens were the winners of evolution, who just outcompeted the Neanderthals until they disappeared. But DNA sequencing just proved we didn't beat them, we merged with them. Most people carry about 2% Neanderthal DNA, which influences everything from your immune system to your hair texture and how you handle altitude. You aren't a pure species. You're a walking, talking evolutionary smoothie. You're basically a reboot of an older model that still has some of the original bugs in the software. Number 7. The fossilized soft tissue. The scientific consensus used to be rock solid. If you die and turn into a fossil, your soft bits, veins, cells, and skin are gone in a few thousand years, leaving only the hard stones behind. Then, some cheeky researchers cracked open a Tyrannosaurus rex bone and found actual, flexible blood vessels and intact proteins. This shouldn't be possible. It's the biological equivalent of finding a fresh ham sandwich inside a sealed tomb from ancient Egypt. It broke our understanding of how long organic molecules can survive, proving that the fossil record isn't just a bunch of rocks. It's a giant, prehistoric biological freezer that we forgot to plug in. Number 6. The infinite human cloud. We used to think the human memory had a cap, like a cheap thumb drive you bought at a gas station. But new neurological modeling suggests the human brain's storage capacity is closer to a petabyte that's enough to hold the entire internet. The reason you can't remember what you had for lunch yesterday isn't a space issue, it's a filing issue. Your brain is a supercomputer with the world's worst organizational system, meaning you have the hardware of a god and the search function of a pre-Google library catalog. Number 5. The plant intelligence problem. You probably think of your houseplants as decorative green blobs that exist solely to die the moment you go on vacation, but science just pulled the rug out from under that smug sense of superiority. Researchers have discovered that plants don't just react, they remember, they learn, and they even scream. When a tomato plant gets thirsty or has a stem cut, it emits ultrasonic clicks that sound like tiny bubble wrap popping. Since they don't have ears, they use their entire bodies to sense vibrations, essentially turning every leaf into a microphone. We used to think intelligence required a brain, but it turns out you've been living in a house full of silent, judgmental witnesses that are technically talking behind your back. Number 4. The Gravity-Defying Tree. You'd think we'd have the how do trees work thing figured out by now, but for a long time, the math just didn't add up. To get water from the dirt to the top of a 90 meters redwood, you'd need a pump system more powerful than anything nature should be able to build. Standard physics says you can't suck water up a straw higher than about 10 meters before gravity wins, but trees do it anyway by putting water under negative pressure. essentially stretching the liquid into a high-tension rope that pulls itself upward. It's a physical impossibility that happens in your backyard every day. The trees are literally breaking the laws of suction because they simply don't have time for your physics. Number 3. The body's hidden organ. For centuries, we thought we had mapped every inch of the human body, but in 2018, we stumbled upon a massive, body-wide organ called the interstitium that we'd somehow missed the entire time. It's a network of fluid-filled cavities found everywhere under your skin, lining your lungs, and wrapping around your muscles. We didn't see it because our old way of looking at tissue involved draining the fluid, which caused the whole structure to collapse like a popped balloon. It's essentially a shock absorber system that connects everything, meaning your body isn't a collection of separate parts, it's one giant, soggy sponge. We've been studying the map of the human body for 2,000 years and just realized we missed a whole continent. Number 2. The solar-powered skin. It turns out humans might have more in common with a succulent than we care to admit. While we don't do full-on photosynthesis, we recently found that our bodies have light-sensitive receptors in places that never see the sun, like our blood vessels. Some researchers suggest we can actually harvest a small amount of energy directly from sunlight to help regulate our metabolism. You aren't just getting a tan, you're technically plugging yourself into the giant fusion reactor in the sky to top off your batteries. Number 1. The accidental compass. You might think you need a GPS to find the nearest Taco Bell, but your eyes actually contain a protein called cryptochrome that is sensitive to the Earth's magnetic field. Birds use it to migrate, but humans have the exact same hardware tucked away in our retinas. We've spent thousands of years getting lost on road trips while our eyeballs were quietly screaming, "South is that way, you idiot!" We have a built-in magnetic compass that we've basically ignored because we're too busy staring at TikTok. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.